Well, hello there. How is everyone? I hope you're well. We made it. We made it through Monday, and you're still looking amazing. It must have been an easy Monday, or you just smashed it out of the park. And talking about smashing it out of the park, we're going to be smashing this video out of the park, as this is going to be a bit of a room splitter, as I'm finally going to lay everything bare of what my actual problem is with specifically the Dylan Mortensen situation. We've kind of pussyfooted around it because I understand that people get upset, they get frustrated, they can't understand fully what the problem is. But I consistently see the same comments over and over and over and over again, which frustrates me, because in the eyes of the law, we have a situation where we've got a guy who is Bryan Kohberger. He is obviously prime suspect. He's been charged. He's awaiting trial. But in my personal opinion, there has not yet been enough evidence shown to us that would have me believe that he is the sole perpetrator. Now, I'm not saying Bryan Kohberger is innocent. I'm saying that I haven't seen enough for me to be convinced that he is the person who did it, and he did it on his own. I've got some notes here so I don't forget anything, because I'm getting old. 43 years old. I know I only look 21, but I'm actually 43. But look, I've put here, this is my problem, per se. And it is that so many people turn around and say Dylan Mortensen escaped being killed. And that's not entirely true. She didn't escape being killed. What we've learned about her actions is in fact pointing to exactly the opposite, and that is that she avoided this. She completely ignored what was going on. If you are led to believe, or you believe that she heard something, she heard noises that led her to then consist or repeatedly look out of her bedroom door. Now, what we've got to appreciate here is this was a party house, remember? So when you consider living in this sort of house as a student with other students and regularly having parties, why would you be sticking your head out of the door to complain about it? Why would you be doing that? Because I'm guessing that it would just be normality. You live with it. You're a student. You know, for those of you who have been to university, you've had shared accommodation, you understand. There's not you can have a moan, I suppose. But for her to consistently come out and almost sneak out and stick her head round, that shows me that there was something else happening. If indeed this is exactly what happened. She heard noises that were out of the ordinary, and then she sees a figure dressed in black, clad in black. She then chose to do nothing. Now, we're led to believe through sources that may or may not be true. You know, we've heard that it has been reported that Ethan Chapin's own sister-in-law had questioned the delay with which it took to contact 911, and that apparently other calls were made prior to that, which seems to be corroborated by the Gonsalves family with saying that other friends were called prior to law enforcement being called. Now, I don't know the accuracy in that. All I can report is what is being put out for us to see. But this is where the problem lies, you see, because I think to myself, it's not rocket science. It ain't rocket science with regards to what to do in the event that you feel something is happening that places you as an individual at risk or those around you. And if you have the ability or your compass mentis enough to make a conscious decision to call friends, then why can't you call 911? I can't fathom that. I can't ascertain what the thought process would be in terms of not calling for help. Not when you consider that there are younger children who we consistently hear doing this, calling 911, calling 999 in the UK, helping their parents, helping their siblings in the event of a house invasion or, you know, injury. It happens all the time. But this girl decided not to do that. And I've put here, Right, if sub-issue, Bryan, and if we're considering that Bryan is the perpetrator, he's the person who did this. So I put, Bryan must have thought that he was going to have to force his way into the rooms when he entered this property. Unless he had prior knowledge that he would be able to enter through a door that would be unlocked, and once he gets into the house, bearing in mind it's dark, how did he know where he was going? How did he know which door belonged to whom? And again, it's that now question of, was this targeted, was it not targeted? And if it was targeted, then why was it specifically targeted at a specific individual? And will we later on through the court proceedings see that bridge being built, if you like, between Bryan, if he's indeed the perpetrator, and the intended victim? And what this was all about was getting to a victim, and the rest were just collateral damage. But ultimately, unless he had prior notification, he had prior knowledge, he had insider knowledge, then he must have gone to that property with the consideration that he would face locked doors. And he would have to overcome these locked doors. So in that, with that thought process, my thought is, if that's the case, it then leads you into two avenues. Because I think to myself, if he had gone into this house and committed these crimes quietly and without incident, why would he have not then continued with his original plan? And that was to force open the additional doors. Now, unless he has caused that much of a ruckus, there's been that much noise that he is aware that he has roused someone. Perhaps the attacks upstairs did indeed, as we believe, potentially rouse Ethan and Xana downstairs, and this altercation didn't happen in the room, it happened out of the room. It further pushes the fact that Dylan Mortensen must have heard enough of a commotion to make anyone with half a brain think, I need to call law enforcement, I need to get help, I need to call for help. Why would somebody hearing this commotion, hearing crying, hearing screaming, hearing something, not call 911? That to me is where my thought process goes. We're not talking about across different floors. Ethan and Xana and Dylan Mortensen were feet apart on the same level. And I can't get my head round, if this attack was quiet, then why would Bryan, if he's indeed the perpetrator, not continue with the plan? And that could well have been to go into the doors. For me, Bryan knew that those doors would not be locked. How did he know they wouldn't be locked? That is key to me. That in my brain and the way my brain operates, Bryan would have had to have known that he could get in that house and get into them rooms. Because he ain't walking into that house thinking that he is going to go into the communal area and face 20 people. Unless that was the plan all along. Unless he genuinely didn't care. And he was just... But then why not do it on any given night earlier on? Why not wait to make sure the house is hustling and bustling and you can see people in and out and just cruise up there and attack like we've seen multiple people do who just want the notoriety. They want to cause maximum, and we know how many people can be injured in a short period of time. In that situation, I know that multiple people say how quickly multiple people can be attacked by this specific weapon, but it's not done in the manner with which the Idaho 4 case was seemingly done. Quietly, accurately, precision, and within such a short window, and including the cleanup, the not dragging anything out of the house, the not transferring everything everywhere and into the car that was supposedly the getaway car. That's the issue that I have here. The whole crime, to me, seems like whoever did it had prior knowledge. And the way with which Dylan Mortensen has seemingly acted leaves me with 3 conclusions, or 2 conclusions, but an avenue that she leaves herself open to. And that is that Dylan Mortensen either she heard something, and she made a conscious decision not to call for help. Because I don't believe that someone hearing what they could have heard would not have thought of calling 911. And even if you go down the route of frozen shock phase, whatever, the first call you would make as soon as you snap out of that would be 911. You would call 911, you would get assistance, you would get help. The fact that another call was made to a friend or whatever, to me, is wrong. And maybe that's just me. And I know there'll be criticism, people saying she's young, a child of 5 years old would have done better in this situation. And that's a fact. The second thing is that Dylan Mortensen heard nothing. She heard nothing. She saw nothing, she heard nothing, and she was coerced into giving a witness statement to say that she saw someone. Or, like I say, you're in a situation where her actions and how that's been pushed online and the way it's been changed and adapted a couple of times has led her open to this criticism. That it almost looks like, when you pair the fact that would certainly appear that whoever did this did indeed have prior knowledge of the property for the aforementioned reasons I've given, who would have given them it? Who would have been able? It's going to automatically lead people to believe that the person who gave that information is Dylan Mortensen. And I'm not saying that she is guilty of anything, but what I am saying is, in terms of the criticism that she's receiving, this is why. Because the way in which she acted and paired with the style with which this crime took place, and the fact that it looks like, again, and I'm repeating myself because it frustrates me, that the crime, to me, it seems that they had prior knowledge. This person had prior knowledge. So they'd either been in the property, they knew where they were going, they knew who was in there, they knew what they would face when they went in there, or they didn't know it because they'd been there, they knew it because they'd been told. Let me know down below. I know this is going to upset a few people, but it needed to be said. And I'll catch you all in the next one.